Today, we're diving into the story of an absolute legend in the world of sacred objects, the Luang Pu Thuad 2497. And trust me, it's not just any amulet. People call it the Emperor of Herbal Amulets, and its story is just wow. So that really brings us to the big question, right? How on earth does a small object, literally made from herbs and earth, become this revered icon that can be worth millions? It's a fascinating story of faith, vision, and, you could say, a little bit of sacred chemistry.
To really get why this amulet is so special, you have to go back to the very beginning. See, this wasn't some commercial project. The Luang Pu Thuad 2497 was born out of a sacred vision and, frankly, a pretty desperate mission to save a historic temple.
Okay, so picture this. It's the early 1950s. Wat Chang Hai, this temple in Patni with a ton of history, is literally falling apart. It's in total disrepair, just a shadow of what it used to be. Something had to be done, but the money just wasn't there. And this is where our two main players come into the picture. On one side, you have Fra Ajarn Tim, the abbot of the temple. He was the spiritual driving force, believed to be communicating directly with the spirit of the great Luang Pu Thuad. And on the other side, you've got Khun Anan, a wealthy and deeply religious man who had this incredibly powerful dream that told him he had to help. It was the perfect team-up, spiritual guidance meeting real-world resources. And their goal couldn't have been more clear. This was never about creating a hot collector's item. The whole point was to raise enough money to rebuild the temple's main chapel from the ground up. The amulet was simply a tool, an object of faith, created to fund a sacred restoration. So the intention was pure. But what about the amulet itself? What actually makes it so powerful? Well, its magic is said to come from its very ingredients, a kind of secret, sacred formula that's just incredible.
First up, you've got 1108. This is a special mix of 108 different types of sacred herbs and pollens. Now, in Buddhist tradition, the number 108 is a big deal. It represents spiritual completeness. So every single herb was picked for its unique, blessed properties, creating this incredibly potent spiritual base.
Then you have the stuff that holds it all together. Din Kaki Yak, which translates to the giant's cauldron earth. According to legend, this mythical black earth comes from a place where a giant spilled his cauldron of magical herbs. So it serves two purposes. It makes the amulet physically strong, but it's also believed to be spiritually protective, able to push away curses and keep you safe. And then there's this really cool finishing touch. A tiny speck of Kim Siao ore, this beautiful black and gold mineral, was pressed into the back of every single amulet by hand. This wasn't just for looks. It left a human touch. Sometimes you can even see a fingerprint, and it became a critical way to tell if a 2497 amulet is the real deal. All right, so they've got all the sacred ingredients ready. Now we jump to the year 2497, when these things were actually made. And this is where a little problem with the process accidentally created one of the amulet's most beloved features. You see, the molds they used to shape the amulets were made from something called jujube lacquer. Now, it was a pretty interesting choice of material. It was great for capturing all the little details, but it had one major flaw. It just wasn't very durable at all.
And here's where that weakness became a blessing in disguise. The original plan was super simple. Just make 3 sizes: large, medium, and small. But as they were hand-pressing the amulets, those fragile lacquer molds started to crack and wear out really fast. So they had to keep carving new ones on the fly. And of course, each new mold was a little different. And the result? This amazing, unintended variety of styles, or FIM, was born. That flaw is exactly why the 2497 series is so diverse and why collectors go crazy for it today.
So let's do a quick recap of the timeline. It all starts with the dream in 2495. By early 2497, they have the materials and are busy pressing the amulets. And then we get to the most important date, April 18, 2497. This is when the huge consecration ceremony happens, led by Fra Ajarn Tim, officially infusing the amulets with their holy power. And it was right after this that the stories about their incredible protective powers just started to spread like wildfire.
And that brings us to the amulet's legacy today. I mean, what started out as a simple fundraising tool for a temple has become this icon with two very different but totally connected kinds of value. First and foremost is the spiritual power, what's known as Putta Khun. Believers really look for two key things from it. The first is Klau Klat Plod Pai, which means this profound sense of safety and protection from harm and accidents. The second is metamahaniyom, a kind of merciful charm that's believed to make people like and respect you. And really, it's this deep-seated belief in its power that drives everything. For millions of people, it's not just a historical artifact. It's a real, tangible source of security and good fortune, which makes it one of the most wanted amulets in all of Thailand. And when something is that spiritually valued, you know what happens next. The monetary value follows. A genuine, well-preserved Luang Pu Thuad 2497 can go for anywhere from 100,000 baht to over 1 million. For the really rare styles, it can be even more. It's just a staggering reflection of how much this amulet means to people. Which kind of brings us full circle back to our original question. When you look at the whole story, the noble mission, the sacred ingredients, the beautiful accident that created its variety, and the incredible belief people have in it, you have to ask, is it just a valuable object? Or is it something more? Maybe it's a perfect symbol of how a community's faith can literally create a legend that never fades.